Well, good morning. Definitely my pleasure to be here in Putnam County, and it looks like quality day, obviously, to have a hog show whenever you're into the middle or later part of July and it's still cool outside, to have a show like this. And so extra fun, I think, as we get here towards the first end of our classes. Got a good Berkshire gilt to represent Class 1. I think she's wide, powerful, really big in her back, really big in terms of her hip, very, very stout at the ground. Maybe just clean the inside of her joints whenever you get right in behind her. Maybe just smooth her up just a pinch at her ham-loin junction, but I think that's getting really critical on a very, very good gilt to win Class 1. The gilt that's in second for me may not be just as far out there in terms of width or substance of what we have in your class winner, nor the gilt that ends up in third, but I just think she balances a little better. I like the top side of her skeleton better than what I have in third. She just handles the ground with more comfort whenever you set her in motion. The extra width and the extra muscle shape is in the gilt that's in third. Like her width coming right to you. I think she's more opened up, leaving me. I just can't get her top line to balance quite as well. She's coming up in her spine, breaking behind her shoulder, just doesn't handle her rear wheels with quite as much comfort as what we have in a nice balanced one there too. Young ladies, it's in third. Probably looks the most, or in fourth, looks the most like the gilt in second, but again, still just needs some more added width. Like to soften her body up and just give her more shape to her rib. The gilt that's in fifth is long and lean, just not quite sound enough off either end. Gets too hard and flat in her body. Give those kids a nice round of applause. We start your day. Very, very quality weight to go ahead and do so.
Please be making your way with your Class 3 Chester White Gilts. Your Class 3 Chester White Gilts, please be making your way to the show ring.
Certainly another good class here. I start with Ladies Guild on the far side. I think just to me again exemplifies what Class 1 winner does in terms of width. Got a great look to her from the profile. I think she reads the easy doing one of the top end of this particular class in terms of her body. Good underline, like the size and set to her vulva. Functional on her feet and legs within this respected class. Just a nice way to go ahead and start. The gilt that's in second probably carries a little extra substance. Love the shape and stoutness to her forearm. The same thing about her hind leg. I just like to fix the way that she goes up high. Comes a little high in the center of her top, maybe relative to her shoulder and hip. It'll just throw her off balance just a bit. A little tighter back there through her rear rib and flank. A little more gathered in terms of her underline, but a very nice gilt there in two. The one that's in third simply stays in the top three from a standpoint of her structure. I think she's the third best built one at the ground in terms of feet and legs. Like her joints and her angles on both ends. Not the extras of what we have in first and second, but a good looking one that has a good running gear, and that's why she stays there in the top three. Young man's it's in fourth. I think if you stop and stand that particular pick, she could probably beat the one that's in third one time in motion, and she gets too straight behind. Doesn't just quite go good enough behind and just needs to be a little stouter everywhere. The rest of them down the lineup, again, just simply based on feet and legs is the way that I sort them. The gilt that I do put next there in the young lady's just too hard and tight in her body. The rest of them need to be a little sounder. My compliments to the group of them. Very nice top pair again.
And to bring you up to pace on the placing in your Berkshire Class 1 Berkshire Gilts. First place, Lindsay Hood. Second, Coy Thomas. Third, Catherine Fry. Fourth, Lily Oliver. And fifth place, Hannah York. In your Class 2 Berkshire Gilts, first place went to Adeline Cox. Second place, Molly Trammell. Third, Andrea Neese. Fourth, Gunnar Estep, 5th place. Macy Clark, 6th. Matthew Perkins, 7th. Alexis Weintraub, and 8th. Maverick Garrow. Congratulations to all exhibitors.
We get our top pair of gilts back out, and again, I think that there's two really high-quality gilts that have some similarities in terms of length of body, muscle shape, and width of skeleton. I think both of these gilts, you maybe get to studying them, and just not perfect in terms of their feet and legs. You could probably nitpick on either one of them from that standpoint. For me, it's just about comfort level and just yet still keeping them stout and keeping them good looking. I think there's one of them that's stouter. There's one of them that maybe handles them a little bit better behind. I think for me, like I said, both of them could go just a little differently. The one with the extras will win today, and you call her dysfunctional enough behind and wish that she could maybe go just a pinch better. The young ladies here out of our first class will be your champion. Congratulations to her. Young man's comes out in second, and a nice looking gilt. Just needs more tour everywhere, but a very, very nice one from the side. Young lady's on the far side, probably looks the most like your champion. She's going to go ahead and be reserved. Congratulations to her.
And your champion Berkshire Gilt exhibited by Lindsay Hood with your reserve champion gilt exhibited by Adeline Cox. Congratulations.
Just if you can get in on the kids as they're okay. He enjoyed it, every minute of it, in his comfy chair. There you go, good job. Chair buyer.
He's retired.
Yeah, he's going to go to college now. I gotta go get the hog ready, so. You gonna come look at it, Jake?
Certainly think a good Chester gilt class. The gilt that I start with, the pair of them at the top end maybe just aren't quite as similar as what we could have if you're simply just judging them on length of body and maybe some bone. A few of these other ones could go ahead and maybe come together a little easier. I think these are the two with the most positives. Then whenever I find them, it's the one that just reaches better behind, a little longer hip, better set to her vulva, bigger rear leg and foot, and yet still plants and goes. The most comfortable of the pair is a gilt that I start with. If I'm nitpicking her, I think she's an early Jan. She's right there probably size-wise for her particular age. I don't know where she'll fit whenever she gets with a bunch of them her specific age. That's a very, very high quality gilt, and quality alone and value in terms of her feet and legs, bone and look is what keeps her in the top pair. The gilt that's in second for me, whenever you get right up to them, probably rolls a little bigger back, like her shape and her top, and I think she squares up good leaving me. I've got to stouten her face up. I got to fix her vulva. I want to give her a bigger rear foot and maybe just stouten her arm up just a pinch, but I do think she's the one with the second most positives whenever you just simply study width, you study dimension, and just how they square going right away from me. She's the better, more genuine gilt of the particular pair between second and third. The gilt that's in third probably looks the most like your class winner in terms of length of body and elevation. Got a big forearm. I love her head, her jaw. Got a little swelling or maybe some kind of a navel issue back there into the mid of her underline. I get up to her rib cage and it reads flat. I turn and watch her go away from me. She wants to pull her hock in and maybe just not go quite as comfortably as what we have in your top two, but a nice one standing there. The one that's in fourth, she's the biggest back, the widest built one of any of them within the class. She just hits me a little round, too steep in her hip. She's one that maybe just doesn't function and go off at either end of her skeleton as well as we have in the top three, but a wide built stout one there that for me just needs to be a little sounder. Down the lineup again, it's just simple function in terms of the rear leg is the way that I sort the bottom pair here. I do think that both of those gilts just need more to them. That one has more feature, foot, and bone, and I like her hind leg better than when I do the gilt that'll close the class. Nice one in terms of her body, little deeper flank. Got to fix those rear too. Congratulations to the group of them. Give those kids a nice round of applause if we could.
And the results of that Chester White Gilt class: first place, Morgan Goss; second place, Bryn Shuey; third place, Brindley Clark; fourth, Madison Newby; fifth, Erica Pearl; and sixth, Caden Purdue. Congratulations to all exhibitors.
I think a nice set of Chester gilts. So we've got two very high quality gilts to be in first and second here. For me, again, maybe a little different in their kind, but still have some similarities. The wider built one underneath and the more genuine one leaving me in a better body shape is the gilt that I start with, and the young man's on the far side. It's a moderate gilt that has substance, and I think everything fits together very well. Very clean in terms of her shape whenever you're up on top of her. I think she opens up square. She's better in terms of her mid-rib and back in to her rear rib and down to her flank than what is the gilt that ends up in second in this particular class. If I'm nitpicking on her, probably a little more jammed up than what I like. Got to fix this side of her underline, but I do think that's a quality gilt in terms of width and substance. She's the more genuine of that particular pair. Young man's it's in second. Again, I probably like her underline quality a little better. A gilt that offers some extension and look to her a little more elevated right up into the point of her shoulder blade. One look at her as she turns and drives away from me, and I know that she needs to be second in class. as much real rib to her, not as much rib shape, and then you get up on top of her and you watch her leave you just to be wider. We've got to open her up to the base of her skeleton, but a real nice one in terms of feature, not another one that's been any stouter than what she is, and yeah, still a nice looking one out front. Could never get her head out of the dirt and just drive the way that I wanted her to, and it always looked like she was a little tight in her hind leg. The one that comes out here in third, I think both of these gilts in 3 and 4 probably look like litter mates, or they at least read it in terms of their ear notch. Gilt that I end up putting in third, I think this looks more like what we have in first and second in terms of rib. Nice looking one, needs a handle or rear 2 better. Same thing with the gilt in fourth. Like her extension and pattern a little bit better than third. Just don't think she's stout enough to compete with the top 3. Good job done by the group of them. Give them a nice round of applause. Good set of Chester gilts.
The results for that Chester White Gilt Class 4, first place, Jace Monett, second, Braden Monett, third place, Matthew Perkins, and fourth place, Matthew Perkins. Congratulations.
Two very nice Chester gilts, and I think, again, both of them have some similarities. I think whenever you just begin to study just true width and base width, and you have still look and presence for a ring and a comfort level that won't quit. There's one of them out here just a little bit better than the other one. Realize that maybe the other one comes out of a little bit longer of a drive. There's still things that we've got to change from a breeding female standpoint about that particular gilt. But still, she's in the ring, and so we call her good enough from a standpoint of her underline, and then we open her up good underneath, and she stays competitive, wide-ribbed, and really powerful. Just got to lengthen her out and extend her just a pinch and clean her up there in the rear part of her underline. The look, the presence, the feet and legs, and the feature is what will end up being used in a particular gilt that the young lady drives. I like her the most. Congratulations to this young lady. She got your champion Chester gilt. Brings out the gilt that was second in that particular class, and like I said, probably nothing like her whenever you really begin to just study your class-winning gilt, but when you do just study her alone, there's still some good things about her. Very refined underneath, yet still has a big, powerful back in her. Nice look out front of her shoulder. Like to stouten her blade up just a pinch and maybe just relax her heel, and then go ahead and fix that vulva set. But wide built and square and got a nice look, and handles them just a pinch better. The gilt that was second in that class is my reserve Chester. Congratulations to her.
And your champion Chester White Gilt was exhibited by Morgan Goss, with your reserve champion Chester White Gilt exhibited by Brandon Shuey. Congratulations to you both.
Really a nice litter of Chesters, and so what they tell me is if you don't understand kind of what's going on, one of these young men or multiple of them, or at least the family, have put together a set of Chesters, and they have a sow obviously, and then they put together a good litter of the litter 5 of them, and then there's obviously 4 of them, but very quality hogs all the way through. I think in terms of balance and substance, look and presence. All four of these look alike. And so my compliments to them on raising their projects. Give these kids a nice round of applause if you could. Nice set of Chesters there for them.
Your first place in champion litter goes to Matthew Perkins. Congratulations.
Test. Oh, there we go. Got it back. I did hear some silent clapping. Anybody that wants to clap today, feel very, very free to go ahead and let loose and clap and yell for them. It does not matter one bit. Good job done by the whole group of our Duroc Guild exhibitors. I think an awesome class to start and lots of quality. Got to sort them a little tougher. The gilt that I start with, for me, just in terms of her composition, her body shape, and whenever you're right up on top of her, letting her go away from you and letting her coming right to you, that particular gilt has got the extras and she's real stout. I think to me, both of these gilts in first and second, and even on down the line, maybe they're getting a little bigger and out here they hesitate just a bit behind, but I don't know that either one of these gilts in first and second are just perfect in the way they plant and go behind. So for me, whenever it comes down to that, and you call these within this respected class the ones that are appropriate enough to move, that gilt has the extra feature to her forearm, a bigger stout hind leg, a bigger rear foot, a neat look to her up front, huge chest, perfect top line. Love the way that she comes out of the upper part of her hip, and yet still clean in terms of her body for being a bigger gilt out here. The gilt that the young man drives, the darker skin gilt, man, is she one whenever you're up next to her that is just stout all over. I mean, massive up high, really shapely in her back, and really bold whenever she leaves me. I don't see her as good out of the front end of her skeleton as what I do my class winner. Maybe just a bit more upright, gets a little thicker at the top of her neck, not nearly as stout in terms of her hind leg or rear foot, and just ankle and heel is what your class winner is, but another very unique one that's in second. And like I said, we could shift both of those gilts a little differently behind. She probably has a little more set to her hog, but she does get a little stubborn driving and maybe just a little too tight in her hip. There was times I wanted to start with the gilt that was in third and call her the soundest one of them. And then I began to read both ends of her skeleton more, and I read her straighter up front. I read her a little straighter in her hog. I think she's got a big presence to her. She's a big ring gilt. Probably be a little harder to jackpot one that's big and extended like she is. But whenever you get her to a big ring, I think she fits a little bit better. I like her size because I think everything fits together. For me, she was the one of the top three that whenever we drove those three just a pinch longer, she did get just a pinch too tight for me off both ends. Gets a little flatter in her rib cage whenever you're up next to her. Not as much width whenever you're right up on top of her. Very pretty profiling gilt here in fourth, and I love the outline of her, the design to her head, the elevation to her shoulder and front end. I take one look at that gilt turning and leaving me, and she gets too flat in the base of her skeleton, wants to turn her legs in and just get a little too close at the ground, not near the bone and foot of what we had in the upper end of this class, but certainly a nice one there. The one that's here next in the young ladies is a moderate, powerful, stout gilt. For me, she's just a little too jammed up everywhere through her hip, through her neck, and the top of her head. We've got to change right into the pole of her neck where she gets just a little too thick. Got to pick her up and extend her. I like this gilt coming out. I mean, you want to talk about wide. That thing leaving you is huge hip and extra wide at the ground. Needs to handle her rear too better. You get up front and her ties her neck a little low into her shoulder. Maybe just doesn't get out and go as comfortably as she needs to. With the remaining pair of them, where both of these gilts need to come out, be just a little more maternal in their design. The gilt that I put down there in 7, I think sounder than the light skin gilt in 8. The light skin gilt just needs quite a bit more to her, probably harp the most on her feet and legs. But awesome class to work through. Give these kids a nice round of applause if you could.
And the results of your Class 5 Duroc gilts. First place, Jackson Parmley. Second place, Branson Hanley. Third, Lindsay Hood. Fourth, Grace Carr. Fifth, Madison Newby. Sixth, Morgan Berry. Seventh, Kirsten Clark. And eighth place, Michaela Graham. Congratulations to all exhibitors.
Get another awesome class to work through. Kids are obviously working hard at it. Lots of deep, good quality through here. And you wish you could kind of maybe just take the parts and pieces of a few of them and just come together and find you that easy class winner in such a deep class. But you got to get nitpicky. And when I do, the gilt that I start with, I realize that some could start to harp on her and say, well, she's maybe just not out there anywhere, and she's not. But that is a very functional female in the red breed. In terms of her hind leg, love her underline, the size and set to her vulva to me is good. I like her rib cage out here. She's a little plain-throated, maybe got just a little extra cover on her that to me she may not need, but I still think she shapes up good up high, very square coming and going. She's the most comfortable one whenever you set her into motion. I think this is a good Duroc female to go ahead and start this particular class. Those that like making Duroc show barrows, the one that's in second to me holds a tremendous amount of value. You bring her out the gate one time and there's not another wide or square one coming to you. Got a big stout head on her, wide bladed and big backed and really big and square whenever she leaves me. The biggest call on her between her and third is the gilt whenever she goes down to the surface, stays better on her front feet and truer at her elbow and just a little more inside of herself whenever she turns and drives away from me. May not have the look and just the length of neck of what the gilt has that's in third. Maybe just not quite as long hip, but I do think to me she's a square built one on both ends whenever you do study her. The gilt in third is up-headed and tall-fronted and probably looks the most like your class winner from the profile. Coming to me one time, I've got to fix her front feet, get right into the midsection of her body, and she reads a little flat for me. I watch her leave, and the longer she goes, just a bit more outside of herself she'll get. In her right hind leg in particular, got a square rear too. Thought the power gilt was in four, kind of came out and just wanted to see if she'd maybe drive. And some, just from a standpoint of being moderate wide and completely filled up in terms of her belly, would probably have her up the lineup. She's presented to a T. For me, she's too wide walking behind. Her bones don't match. She's just a little too jammed up everywhere. And again, I think carrying some extra condition that she just doesn't need for a particular frame. Got a bigger extended gilt out here that comes next to straight up through her blade, and the same thing behind. Got the pair gilts that round the class out, that for me it's just about function and build out of their hind leg. That gilt probably does need to be a little deeper and softer in terms of her body. I like her look and her width better than the gilt I'm in the class with. The gilt that I end the class with is a little softer, a little soggier in her belly. I'd just like to see that gilt handle the surface with more comfort. Good job done to the group of them. Again, give those kids a nice round of applause. Well deserved.
The results of your Class 6 Duroc gilts: first place, Briggs Porter; second place, Gavin Sinclair; third, Lindsay Hood; fourth, Morgan Berry; fifth place goes to Danica Overshiner; sixth, Mackenzie McCullough; and seventh place, Brooke Hensley. Congratulations to all exhibitors.
We get our pair of gilts back out there, and again, two very, very high quality gilts, and I think they can be used differently in a scenario of whenever you're going to take them home and breed them. You've got one that's probably a little stouter, kind of a boar maker. You got one of them down there that'll raise a good set of pigs, whatever you kind of want to breed her to. I think from just a standpoint of a build that's got a little throat down there, I guess if you're going to change her, maybe clean her up there just a little bit. You got the big gilt. I mean, boy, whenever she comes out of the gate, wide bladed, and her shoulder sets way on the outside of her forerib, incredibly big spread up high, and the same thing leaving me. If I'm nitpicking on the whole class, I wanted to reconstruct the way that most of them drove behind. If I'm going to nitpick on her hock has got to come back further behind her hip. I'd like to set her blade a little further into her where she gets a little coarser in the bottom side of her shoulder. Thought she won the class because she was the one that wasn't fat for one, and then she had bone feature to match. I like the build of that gilt whenever she stops and stands. Like to drive her a little differently behind. Got a real comfortable gilt that wins class 2. Again, that's not out there anywhere. I do think her shape's good. I think she's right in her body, very square and opened up, leaving you. Same thing whenever she comes right to you. Maybe not the substance of what we have in the gilt in class 1, but she is the one that's the most comfortable. Keeping that in mind, and what will keep in check all day long is feet and legs, and we'll build the extras after that. She is the best one. Class 2 is my champion. Congratulations to him. Brings out the gilt that was second in that class, and I told you, I think she probably does look more like your class winner out of class 1 whenever you just build them wide underneath and you keep them stout. She's a very genuine gilt. I've got to lengthen her hip out, and again, maybe just recorrect the way that she steps behind. This one's got that extra width, the extra bone, and just the extra bulk to her. If she'll come with a little rear rib and flank and keep them good enough behind, I think a competitive gilt. She's still my reserve. Congratulations to him.
And your champion Duroc gilt was exhibited by Briggs Porter, with your reserve champion exhibited by Jackson Parmalee. Congratulations to you both.
Yeah, really nice litter out here. The young lady over here, they tell me, is the breeder of them, and good job done to her. Hard to breed and farrow and just raise a good set of pigs all the time, and she's done that out here. Got 3 real good ones there. Maybe the Barrow's kind of carrying himself a little differently behind, but definitely a nice set of them that are very complete in terms of their muscle pattern, their width, and their stoutness. All 4 of them look very much similar. Good job done to her. Give her a nice round of applause if you could. All 4 of them, good job. And the Durocs, awesome set of them there to work through.
And your first place and champion Duroc litter is exhibited by Taylor Hensley. Congratulations.
good class of ham gilts, and the top handful of them is very, very good. And I realize that the top pair may not look the same, but to me they have the least faults. And then whenever I just start to build them from there, the gilt that to me combines what we have in second and third ends up being my eventual class winner and champion Hampshire gilt. Got a great look and presence to her for a ring, but I still like the refinement underneath. And I think to me, she's a gilt that's got a great underline there. Again, her setting size to revolve is good. Very square whenever she comes right at me, and that's why I end up beating her, or end up beating the gilt that's in second. I think her knee sets in her forearm more appropriately. Maybe just a little more look underneath, but still stout enough up there through the upper part of her skull. Like her shape, and I like her width leaving me. I think compositionally she reads correct. That just kind of gets a little Hampshire walking once in a while. Just probably like to pick her up a gear, but I do think her joints are built very good. Just kind of looks like she's had to go to the bathroom while she's been out here. The gilt that's in second looks like a stout Hampshire brood sow. Got a big noggin, really big rib cage, and I love her forearm and her hind leg. It's very stable. To me, she's the one that drops her hind leg truer out of the base of her hip in comparison to what we have in second and third. She's not as square coming right to me. I've got to fix her knees and then maybe just give her a little bit more look up front, but I do think that's a real stout one. Just going to be a solid, easy doing sow. Nice one to go ahead and be in two. The one that's in third, a little freakier, a little further out there, and I guess for me, obviously age-wise, we might like to make her just a little bigger. That's not why I beat her, because simple quality keeps her in the top trio. One look at her turning and driving away from me. I've got to square right one in particular, soften her body up just a pinch. I love the look and the elevation and the feature in that gilt for having that neat of a look out front. She has a big paw and a big forearm. The gilt that comes out next, whenever you get to the side of her, you think, hey, no doubt, that's a top-end Hampshire gilt. Love her look, got a massive rib cage in her. Get up on top of her and watch her leave you one time. Not another one any wider out here than she is, but to me that's probably led to her undoing. She's got to be square going away from me. Again, her right one's pushing way outside of her body. Got a square rear to just a little too much for me for a breeding female. We get down the lineup, us just simple build alone at the ground is what sorts them. I know this one probably gets a little steep and short in her rump. Like to go ahead and just drop her flank, but I still think a nice look to her. A little more extension, a little bigger kind of a gilt there. We got the three moderate gilts that'll come out next, and gotta like their feature. Just gotta go ahead and build them a little differently on both ends of their skeleton. Awesome set of Hampshires. I think their top end was very, very good. Give those kids a great big round of applause if you could. Again, definitely well deserved.
The results of your Class 7 Hampshire Gilts. First place and champion goes to Gavin Sinclair. Second place and reserve champion goes to Kyle Spencer. Third place, Rainey Burge. Fourth, Braden Monette. Fifth place, Gunnar Estep. Sixth, Landon Clark. Seventh, Caden Cash. And eighth place, Madison Moore. Congratulations to all exhibitors.
Super good class of Hereford Gilts, and I think this top end of them is very, very good. I think you're looking at two Hereford Gilts here that are competitive at the county, but even at the state, national level. The gilt I start with amongst a pair of them that both need to come to you a little better, just a little more everywhere. I think she's wider, she's softer rib, bigger bladed, bigger back, bigger hip, wider belt leaving me. Just stout at the ground is what the other one is. If I'm changing her, I'd like to pick her up front and maybe square knees, maybe just not quite the look of what's in second, but I do think there's a more genuine gilt with just more sheer horsepower to go ahead and start. Really pretty built gilt from the profile. I mean, boy, she comes out and she'll give you an awesome look, and the young man's obviously done a very good job of getting her broke and kind of just keeping her calm, up-headed, real neat looking out front. I get right into the center of her blade, and you get down into her chest floor, and I think that tells the story of her from there back into the base of her skeleton. I just got to open her more underneath and just give her a wider build. I do think that, to me, maybe just a little bigger footed, little stouter ankle than what even is your class winner. Love her look and presence. Always just kind of trying to go to the bathroom. Looks like she's kind of tucking and ducking in her hip. Just got to go ahead and fix that about her. But awesome presentation. If she loosens up and goes, it might be even a little bit different of a story. Wider built one there that comes out next in third, and just a more comfortable pattern and rear leg than what we have in the gilt that's in four. Got a real shapely gilt whenever you're up next to him that has some length of body to her. A little tipped up in her vulva, got a stout in her legs, and just go ahead and make that gilt more comfortable on both ends of her skeleton. Get down through the lineup. Again, for me, it's just about build alone is what sorts them down through here. We've got a couple of them gilts down the lineup that obviously need more to them. I just go ahead and sort the remaining 3 or 4 of them there on structure. Congratulations to the group of them. Awesome top pair of Herefords. Give those kids a great big round of applause if he could.
And the results of your Class 8 Hereford Gilts, first place and champion goes to Callie Whaley. Second place and reserve champion goes to Ethan Hand. Third place, Allison Baston. Fourth, Corbin Clark. Fifth, Andrea Neese. Sixth place, Molly Trammell. And seventh goes to Briley Schmitz. Congratulations to all exhibitors. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all you in the crowd for being here. And also, Endeavor Communications is live streaming right now. And you can also go back and watch the show on their YouTube channel. So please check that out later on. But know that we're streaming live now thanks to Endeavor Communications.
A very nice set of landrace. The gilt that I start with, I know the critics of her will say, man, she's a little wide behind, and she is. I'm not going to disagree with you there. Find me one that's any squarer, that's any stouter, has a better look, or just exhibits any more true body shape and squareness right there at the ground coming to you. And then I'll go ahead and start with her, because in my opinion, there's not one that is any square behind that has those attributes. So we go ahead and start with her. The gilt that's in second, I did want to call her a little square, and she is. I think her hind leg may come just a little better out of the base of her hip. She too maybe has just a little bit of a struggle behind where she wants to twist them in. I got to clean her up there on the rear part of her underline where she's got some swelling. Clean the top of her neck and the bottom side of her jaw up. Got a good shape to her, nice built from the side. Kind of keeps her there in the top pair. Just in terms of her extension, I think she's a little longer and leveler about her rump than what the gilt is that's here in 3. Got a gilt in 3 that's just a bit shorter bodied, and I don't mind that. I think that she balances well whenever she does want to drive. To me, it's always kind of a head down motion because her top's a little round, just a little too chubby, got a little extra condition on her there that I'd like to see, I think, for a female, but definitely a nice one in terms of squareness, and just build at the ground, again, keeps her there in the 3. Got a little more extended pattern in the gilt that's in 4. Needs to be wider underneath as she comes and goes, and better out of her hip. Got the remaining pair of gilts, and where I just simply sort of on their build behind. Congratulations, the whole group of them. Again, a very nice set of females to work through. I think an intriguing kind of a class winner there. Congratulations to them all.
And the results of your Class 9 Landrace Guild's first place and champion goes to Aaron Thomas, second place and reserve champion, Hanley Everman, third, Catherine Fry, fourth, Cameron Gibson, fifth, Kaylee Rowings, and sixth place, Kaylee Rowings. Congratulations, exhibitors, job well done.
We got our landrace litter out here, and again, very nice litter, I think, balanced well. One of them gilts maybe looked like she didn't take off like the other ones, but I do think a very nice set of them all the way through. Ask you to put your hands together for these 4 young people. Got a nice litter of landrace homes. Congratulations to them.
And your first place and champion Landrace litter is exhibited by Kaylee Rowings. Congratulations.
Very good set of pulling gilts. Again, the top pair of them, a little different in their kind of gilt that I start with. For me, of being the whitest one in here and having the most to her, she still handles it the best. I'm not saying she's perfect, but watch her walk one time comparatively, and I think she is the one that's the most stable behind, the squarest up front, and then yeah, still packs the extra punch to her mid-body, big back, big square hip in her, and yet, like I said, still functions very well on both ends. Not calling her perfect. I do think maybe she tucks just a little behind, but I don't see, again, another one in here any better in that specific area that has what she has and then can still move. The gilt that's in second, probably a little more my speed in terms of just her length of pattern. I like her length of rump and just her pattern and design, just a pinch better than even my class winner. I think she's better out front of her blade. Doesn't have as much substance, not as wide leaving me, but I do love the front 2/3 of her. Big extended gilt, got a beautiful underline in her, big vulva, good kind of a gilt there to be in second. For me, the one that comes in third, comparatively to fourth, I could honestly probably switch that pair. I use the extra shape and pattern in the gilt that's in third. I think it's obvious she needs to be there as they come and go. Has to be better in her knee, needs to be a little looser behind. Let the extra size and the shape go ahead and be in the top three. The gilt that's in fourth, she maybe not just manages good skin and hair-wise. I definitely like to freshen her up for a show ring and just probably give her a little more grow. That's a good pulling gilt. I think she's got some substance to her, nice looking, very square, and I think she still moves them comfortable, just not as much to her comparatively. I still think she's a better one whenever you set them into motion in terms of movement off of both ends compared to what we have down the lineup. Let maybe just a little plainer gilt catch the top five, but I do think if you're going to go ahead and take them home and breed them, for me, she'll have a little more function long-term than what we have down the lineup. Got the young lady in the blue plaids gilt there that definitely a powerhouse gilt. Looks like she's maybe fighting an injury behind. Got to fix her hind legs whenever she goes. The other two just need to be a bit more correct in their structure and their design. Good set of pulling gilts. I think a very, very good top pair. Give them a nice round of applause if you could.
And the results of that class of pulling gilts: first place, Madison Newby; second, Grace Fry; third, Emma Woodall; fourth place, Zella Boyer; fifth, Clay Hayden; sixth, Chloe Inman Jenkinson; seventh, Clay Hayden; eighth, Clay Hayden. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
We got a good set of Polands. The gilt that I start with, I think, is very, very good. Whenever you just begin to study feet and legs, and then you build them from there. I mean, impressive look to her. Body's right for her frame. Not fat, but still filled up right. Opens up good coming at you. Same thing, leaving you great running gear whenever you get on both ends of her skeleton. Everything just kind of in a basic sense fits together very well. I think a very, very interesting and intriguing gilt to win Class 2 of the Polands. The one that's in second, maybe just a pinch stouter behind. You get down to her ankle and rear foot, get just a study in her forearm, and just all the way around, maybe just a shot more feature to her. I don't think she's as good at her knee. You get up to the front part of her skeleton and her blade will set a little low. You get to the profile of her, and I think she tucks her hind leg up underneath her just a bit far, but I do think that's the gilt that offers some substance, neat look, great rib, good underline, very solid gilt to be in 2 as well. Second and third get close for me. There's obviously a little more dimension in the gilt that's in 4th. I let the feet and legs, the bone, and the natural build up front allow this gilt to stay here into the top 3. I think she's better in her underline. I think that gilt's a little stouter everywhere, and then for me, just a pinch more correct in the way that she travels behind. Got the young lady's gilt. It's a moderate, wide-built powerhouse for me. Just needs to be a little bigger in her kind, and we'd like to maybe go ahead fix the one side of her underline as well, but very nice gilt. Just needs to move a little better. Got a big gilt out with lots of power and muscle. Her rear 2 aren't good enough for me to move her up in the lineup. From there forward, lots of shape and bulk to her. Obviously the fast growing one of that group. Just got to make her rear 2 better. Congratulate them with a good round of applause. Awesome set of Polands.
The results of your Class 11 Poland Gilts: first place, Gretchen Carr; second, Kirsten Clark; third, Rainey Burge; fourth, Taylor Goss; and fifth place, Colby Harcourt. Congratulations.
We have 2 class-winning Poland gilts out here, and both of them, I think, represent their breed well. Both of them come in a little different size and stature. Got the moderate built one that wins Class 1 that still to me moves good. Lots of bulk and lots of mass. Maybe wraps all the way around her neck a little thick, and her maybe forearm and hind leg don't match just quite as well as what she has up high. But I do think she was the very good one in that class and still is out here just in terms of being that wide and stout, and yes, still can move. We've got the gilt that wins Class 2, and I think it's come to us as good as we've had in terms of feet and legs. Incredible build and presence to her up front. Big stout legs still to me comparatively to what she has up high. Very, very unique and intriguing gilt. To me wins Class 2 and is to me the easy champion in the Poland. Young lady there. Congratulations to her. Brings out that gilt that was second in that class. I talked about her. I think her bones are big. I think she's got a nice look to her out front. Little over in her knee. Whenever you begin to get off to the profile of her, got to fix those knees up and just go ahead and take her hind leg a little further back behind her. She probably wants to tuck and duck just a pinch more. Awesome shape to her up high. If you can call her good enough coming to you, she's the second best one. To me, one of them does come better at you. Not quite the look out front, but to me, she's the one that whenever you just nitpick on them and you get down and weigh the checks and balances, has the least faults amongst the pair of them. Young ladies out of Class 1 will be reserved. Congratulations to her.
And your champion Poland Gilt was exhibited by Gretchen Carr, with reserve champion exhibited by Madison Newby. Congratulations to both exhibitors.
We got the Poland litter, and again, 4 Polands out here. We've seen, 2 of them's gilts, obviously, and we talked about the one being sound and kind of making her way up into the upper end of a class there just an inch earlier, just on the way that she's built. All 4 of them maybe could come with this a shot more in terms of substance and power, but I do think those are 4 nice Poland hogs to get them off as individuals and just start to study build nice hogs. Congratulations to them. I know which one of them raised them, but I ask you to please put your hands together for all 3 of the kids. Doing a good job. Good litter of Polands.
And your first place and champion Poland China litter goes to Clay Hayden. Congratulations, Clay.
Really good spot gilt to go ahead and start off there, and I think a very, very good gilt. Again, whenever you just study what I have and what I like in terms of width of chest, and yet still having some squareness to her as you take her to the surface, and handles it good. Nice looking gilt there, got an extra shot of feature, moves good from the profile. Good gilt to go ahead and win this particular class. My compliments to that young lady. Probably a little square knee, sets in the forearm, and the gilt that ends up here in second. I like her comfortable build and stability and the way that she handles her hind leg comparatively to what we have in the gilt that's in third. Handles her top line a little truer and stronger all the way down her spine. I think a gilt that still offers some bone and feature. Looks like a good long-term breeding female if we take them back and try to make her one. But very nice top pair of them. My compliments of them. The one that's maybe a little further out there than the other ones is the louder mark gilt here that's in third. Like her width up through her chest, floor, wide build, leaving me. I just can't get anything to fall together right in her. From the side, she gets a little slinky or sway topped, and then you get into her knee and down to her front foot. We've got to square her knee up and pick her up on her pasterns. From there, again, it's just simple about build and rib cage and where I sort the young lady's gilt there in the fourth. A little too plain everywhere and just needs probably to be square whenever she turns and leaves me. The gilt in five is a little bigger stature, nice looking from the side, just needs more to her to be competitive. Good set of spot gilts. I think a very good class winner. Congratulations to them all.
The results of your Class 12 spot gilts. First place goes to Kennedy Clark. Second place, Katie Barger. Third, Shelby Barger. Fourth place, Malin Gibbs. And fifth, Mackenzie Shannon. Congratulations, exhibitors.
class, the class winner again, I think exemplifies of what we had in your first class. The gilt that's stout and good looking and yet still can move. Whenever you ask her to go, it's maybe just a little rounder in the upper part of her hip, not quite as good through the bottom side of her neck as what your gilt is that's in second. You think she's the better one whenever they come right to you. Same thing leaving you, and yet still the extra shot of feature all the way throughout her body. The gilt that's in second, you get off to the profile of them and just study design. There's a gilt that's up-headed and level down her spine, long in her rump, but gilded for me doesn't maybe take to the surface with quite as much bone work or foot behind in comparison to what we have in your class winner, but definitely a gilt that you have to appreciate in terms of just her overall pattern, her length of profile. Very nice pair of gilts to go ahead and be in first and second in this class. The one that's in third, lots of power in her. I like the width and substance in that gilt. For me, just one that maybe doesn't handle her top line quite as true. She gets too far down on her front feet, a little too jammed up and moderate for me, and just too short in her cannon. Got to fix her right in behind her shoulder, from there back into her ham-loin junction. Very nice pair of gilts, and I like both of those, all three of those up into the top end of this class. The gilt that ends up coming in fourth, substance and look is good. A gilt that has to handle her rear legs better, gets to tucking them up underneath herself whenever she walks. From there down the lineup, again, it's just about structure and the way that I sort them. Good class. Congratulations to them.
The results of your Class 13 spot gilts: first place, Adeline Cox; second place, Haley Cox; third, Grace Fry; fourth, Jana Flater; fifth, Olivia Denny; sixth place goes to Monroe Beeman; seventh, Macy Lambermont; and eighth place, Chloe Pastori. Congratulations, exhibitors. My apologies. In that Class 13 spot gilts, the first and second was reversed. First place went to Haley Cox, and second place, Adeline Cox.
Good way to end this spot. So we've got a very powerful stout one that moves good to go ahead and start this particular class. Maybe just gets a little shorter about her rump as you get up to the upper end of it, but I do think from there forward, she's the one that just exemplifies what I talked about in terms of width and substance, and yet still can move. Very, very nice skill to go ahead and win the Class 3 of spots. The one that's in second, to me, looks the most like her in terms of moderation and body shape. big featured gilt. She's unmatched in terms of substance in her forearm. Same thing about her hind leg, and her rear foot works good. A little too moderate for me, and maybe just like to pick her up and extend her all over, but a very good gilt whenever you just start to study bone width and squareness, easy into the top pair. The gilt that's in third, I thought whenever they were first coming out, we'd have to probably poke her a little further up the lineup there in first or second, or keep her in the top trio just simply on her feet and legs. I know that she's not going to be any freaky out there anywhere in her pieces, but I do think she's sound. She's got a nice look to her. If we're talking about building them for a fairing crate or just a different kind of a setting than what they're in now, to me, she's the one that has more function and long-term value just built in her skeleton. We've got muscled up hogs that are down here in the lineup, and I don't mind muscle. Obviously, I like it. I talk lots about it. I think, to me, it can tighten them up a little like it has these three gilts, just a little too chubbed up in their shape, and just like to go ahead and make them better moving. But my compliments to the whole group of them. Can you give them a nice round of applause if you could as we exit your final class of spotted female.
The results of your Class 14 spot gilts: first place goes to Macy Clark, second Taylor Hensley, third Bishop Stalka, fourth Trace Thomas, fifth Callie Pastori, and sixth place Zella Boyer. Congratulations.
We get our three class winners back out here, and been, nothing short of real good whenever you begin to talk about the upper end of the spots and just kind of where they sit, and then we get them into the right kind of age group, and then you put them together. I think from there we've got three very, very fundamentally just fault-free females within their particular classes. Now, there is things that people will nitpick on them about it, and you can, as a judge or just somebody looking on the outside of the ring, but for all of it put together, these are three very, very nice spot gilts. I think for me, just the one of them that is built more like what we've had so far, and more like what I like whenever you get quality out here amongst the trio of them, just a little more extended, bigger in terms of her outline, but yet still packs some punch in terms of bone work and foot size. Real neat looking whenever you're off to the profile of her, long, level in her rump, and just handles them very comfortably on both ends of her skeleton. Square knee up, just a pinch coming to you, but I do think a darn good one to win the spot gilts. Young lady's out of the first class. Congratulations to her. We get our champion, out of the ring, and I do think, guys, if you're at all interested in the spotted breed or just building good hogs, that is a good female with some extras to her. Brings in the gilt that was second. We talked about her function of her feet and legs, her bone work, her toe size, and the spread underneath that she had. Maybe not just as far out there in terms of width and muscle shape as what we had in your champion, but I do think a good gilt to go ahead and represent that class and be in second. Gets a little closer for me from the other two class winners. One of them drives a little better. One of them's a little kind of a knothead, truthfully, but I think whenever you just begin to truly study their bone work and their foot, their spread underneath, and just their ability to still go, even though being a little stubborn. There is another good gilt in the ring. Young lady's out of the second class, will be reserved. Congratulations to her.
The champion spot gilt was exhibited by Kennedy Clark, with the reserve champion exhibited by Haley Cox. Congratulations.
Got your spot litter out here, and again, very high quality, and obviously these pigs have been worked with well, just in their skin and hair and their presentation, fed well as you study the rib. Good 4 of them out here, a little different maybe in their kind and size, but definitely a good set of them all the way through there, and I think very good kind of individuals whenever you put them into their classes. Give these kids a good round of applause. Great litter spots here as we study them.
And your first place in champion spot litter exhibited by Kylie Barger. Congratulations, Kylie. Been brought to my attention that whenever we conclude the guilt portion of the show, we will break for lunch, and at 12 o'clock noon, we will begin back with the Barra show. I will repeat that. We will conclude with the guilts, and whatever time that is, at 12 o'clock noon, we will begin back with the Barra show. Also, if you fail to get a swine animal signed up for the auction for Friday evening, you will be able to do so during that break period. That will be the only time that will be allowed the rest of the day. So if you need to sign an animal up for the auction in the swine office, you'll need to do that during the break period. That will be between the conclusion of the gilt class and 12 o'clock noon, and that will be in the swine barn office.
Young lady here closest to me has your class winning and champion Tamworth Guild. For me, just a very good look, design and outline, and obviously the best one on her feet and legs. Whenever you ask the top pair to set in motion, the Giltlet's in second. A little wider rib, a little softer in her body, and if you're just judging them on that alone, yep, she can win the class. I don't know if she's just kind of ornery or she's maybe coming into heat, just doesn't really want to walk out there and just move out of her route two the way she needs to, but a nice one there in second. Gilton third looks the most like the Gilton two in terms of rib and dimension. For me, she's just a little too fragile at the ground, and she's got to handle each end of her skeleton better, get down the line, and again, it's just simple structural correctness, and the way that I sort of realizing that one needs more to her, just definitely quite a bit sounder than what we have in the remaining pair of them. The remaining pair are more moderate and shorter body, a little thicker muscled hogs, just need to move better on both ends. Congratulations to the whole group of Tamworth exhibitors. Again, a very nice top pair. Give them a good round of applause if you could, as all these kids exit the ring. Got a litter Pam's out here, and very nice litter again. I think proportional length and shape is good. Again, we can maybe make those two gilts just a little more correct on their feet and legs. Got a nice pair of barrows out there. It'd be good single entries. Congratulate them with a good round of applause, though. These four exhibitors, great, nice set of them.
Results of your Class 15 Tamworth Gilts. First place and champion goes to Allie Nichols. Second place and reserve champion goes to Destiny Crosby. Third place, Destiny Crosby. Fourth, Kendall Downing. Fifth, Rebecca Rady. Sixth, Rebecca Rady. And your champion in first place, Tamworth litter, is exhibited by Rebecca Rady. Congratulations to all those fine exhibitors.
First class of Yorkshires comes to me maybe just a little more challenging, kind of where you want to set your priorities, because I'm not sure that any of them, just to be upfront with you, maybe hit me just extremely hard as an easy class winner. I do end up with a top pair of them that I don't think look alike at all. But for me, again, the gilt that I start with, I know the critics of her and even myself, I think she's plenty wide. I think she's plenty moderate, but she's the one that to me, relative to her contemporaries out here, when she goes, it just has so much more to her, bigger rib, and still takes her hind leg back behind her. I would like to loosen her hip up, square her front feet up. She's still wide, and her hind leg comes out of her square whenever she turns and leaves me. I get up to them, and I did want to start with the young man's gilt. That thing's just too tall and flat for me. I've got to put more engine in her, got to open her blade up and give her more width underneath her skeleton. I know from the outside she might look like the best one. From the profile, you got to get out here and on them to understand why she needs to go two big legs, nice footed gilt. Got to have more to her. It just looks a little too big and harsh. The gilt that's in third, she's a moderate, stout looking one. Got a big forearm and a big hind leg. I don't like her head and neck. I've got to stouten the end of her face, fix the top of her neck there, and then square her rear two up whenever she turns and leaves me. The young man's that's in fourth, I guess honestly, whenever I began to study him, the more I did, the more she worked herself up. I realized that gilt's a little long-bodied for some, but I think her hip and hind leg's nice. She too gets plenty flat whenever you ride up on top of her, kind of breaks too much in her top line. Thought this gilt would maybe move her way up the lineup, and probably for some, in terms of design and muscle, she can. She's too tight out of her hip and hind leg for me. Real small in her vulva, needs to be bigger footed. Get down the lineup on them, and again, got a nice gilt there that needs more substance. It gets too straight behind. Got a set of them down the line there that just have to get out and move more comfortably. Got that big shapely gilt there that just hits me too round in her hip and just off in her blade. Good set of Yorkshire gilts. To me, it's just a compromise of where you want to be at structurally through the class to go ahead and start with the gilt. But I do think we've got a very powerful one there that's square enough whenever we begin to study it comparatively. Good job done by them.
The results of your Class 16 Yorkshire Gilts. First place goes to William Boucher. Second place, Dalton Scott. Third place, Ethan Mayer. Fourth place, Max Pickle. Fifth place, Cooper Grable. Sixth place, Maverick Barnhart. And seventh place, Aaron Pickle. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Top end of this class, we've got two gilts here that are designed quite a bit alike out front. Both of them have the extra shape whenever you ride up on top of them. For me, just the transition right in their ham loin hookup and at their jump muscle, and then there's a squareness and more comfortable build of the young ladies gilt I start with is why I do so. Her hind leg just comes a little further back behind her hip, set down into a deep kind of a heel and a big wide rear foot. Got a really good shape to her, and I think just to me everything kind of fits together. Is maybe just a pinch in at her knee coming to you, not the stoutest jawed one ever. I'd like to strengthen her feature up front, and that's what I like about the gilt that's in second. I think that's a pretty outlined one that's still got a big stout skull in her. It correlates down to some bigger legs, a big forearm, and stout kind of a hind leg. Just couldn't ever really see her get out and go. Always wanted to throw her head way up in the air, and that's nice to look at. I just got to see a more comfortable build behind. I think her hip breeds short and a pinch steep, and then it works all the way down to her hock and rear foot, and where she just needs to handle herself better behind, a little high in her jump muscle. I still think she's better on her front feet and just a little nicer design than what the gilt is. It's in third. The gilt in third, whenever you ride up close to them, probably packs just a little more power everywhere. Real big and soggy and maternal about her rib, like that gilt's underline. I think she's got an old school stout Yorkshire head on her. For me, from the profile, I can't get her to balance right. Wants to run downhill and get too flat up front. Pinches that back there and from her loin into her hip. And then you watch her move behind, and she is the most hesitant of the top three. Got the gilt in fourth. It's a nice pattern that needs more to her. The gilt in five's the same way. Big shapely gilt that needs to move better behind. Congratulations to them all. Again, a nice class of Yorkshire gilts.
Here, Class 17, Yorkshire Gilts. Results of Class 17, Yorkshire Gilts. First place goes to Taylor Goss. Second place, Alexandra Dobbs. Third place, Danica Obershiner. Fourth, Carter Thomas. And fifth place, Kennedy Lawson. Congratulations, exhibitors.
We'll get our two Yorkshire gilts back out here, and again, I think the Yorkshires, at some of the conferences we've been to and the national shows, upper end of them have been as good as they've been in a time or two. And for me, we get this pair of gilts back out here, and I'm not telling you that they're perfect, but I do think within their respected classes that they're the two best ones. Amongst the pair of them, one of them for me is just a little more functional in terms of her build. Maybe doesn't have as much to her, but I do see her more comfortable on both ends of her skeleton. Still having a nice look to her out here in the ring. Young ladies gilt out of Class 2 is my champion. Congratulations, go ahead. Brings a gilt out that was second in that class, and I talked about her. I mean, front two-thirds, reads like a good, stout Yorkshire female that can be, a different kind of a generator, and where you maybe want to set your priorities on her. Her jump muscle bothers me. It makes her look just a little shorter and steeper about her rump. I think whenever you just talk about the build of each end of their skeleton, staying a little truer right there at the ground, bigger vulva, a little better kind of an underline, and just a stouter, truer build at the ground, she's still the second best one. Maybe not, as freshened up as this bigger gilt is. I've got to fix this one's feet and legs. I needed to do that to the whole class, but thought she was square enough to go ahead and be up there. Good set of Yorkshire gilts. The second place in its Class 2 is going to be my reserve. Congratulations.
Your champion Yorkshire Gilt was exhibited by Taylor Goss, with your reserve champion Yorkshire Gilt exhibited by Alexandra Dobbs. Congratulations to both those exhibitors. As we begin the crossbred gilt classes, Putnam County does a lot of great things, and they do a lot of things right. And one thing that they did right was about a week ago, this past Saturday, with the Queen contest. And the girls have been working hard already this morning. They'll be working hard the rest of the day. But they selected a queen in her court, and we'd like to introduce them. We know that some of them are slipping in and slipping out and doing some other responsibilities as they have to do. But we have out in the show ring right now, we have our queen, Miss Putnam County 2018, Miss Reagan Bowling. And I'm not sure for which ones are here, but our first runner-up is Mackenzie Taylor. Our second runner-up, Emma Holzapple, over here by the announcer's stand. Our third runner-up, Jessica Hayes, also over here. And our Miss Congeniality this year is Skylar Clifford. So put your hands together for this group of fine young ladies. They did a fine job and represented Putnam County very well. And we wish Reagan the very best of luck in January at the Indiana State Fair Queen Contest.
As we start into our crossbred gilt division, what a way to do so. I think a very, very good blue female here to go ahead and win this particular class. And just what you like to talk about in terms of a breeding female long term, but yet still having some show ring characteristics to her pattern. Very square on both ends, sound and comfortable, bones match her. Looks like she's only going to continue to get better. An elite gilt to win class 1. There's more power that I said in second. Whenever you're right up on top of them, the black gilt comes out of the back of her shoulder with more shape. She rolls up bigger in her loin. She's thicker in her hip, leaving you a little too jammed up, a little coarser, maybe just a bit more terminal oriented, I guess, if you want to call her that, out of here amongst a group of them. But I still think she's the second best one in terms of freshness, width, body, and yet still keeping them together behind. The black gilt stays in third for her extra muscle, and yet still being wide. She's got big legs whenever you're down to the surface on her. A gilt that just needs to coordinate and probably go better to move up the lineup. The rest of them here, it's simply about function there behind and the way that we sort them in size and just stature of their build. Congratulations to them again. Awesome class winner to start your crosses.
The results of your Class 18 crossbred gilt class. First place goes to Grace Carr. Second place, Cameron Gibson. Third, Jasmine Reed. Fourth, Kayla Moglin. Fifth place, Chloe Tumaw. And sixth place, Logan Tumaw. Congratulations to all those fine exhibitors.
it's hard to get through a show smoothly if you don't have good ring help. And I've known a couple of these guys for a year or two, and I've never seen Brandon at least move that fast before. So good ring help all the way around, and so it keeps your show going. My compliments to the group of them throughout this particular class. A little different oriented, kind of pigs that we'll bring out here. We'll talk about just even about commercial production and how that those hogs have some value. We start with the one that just looks like the class winner, though. I realize she's wide behind, and I'd like to square her hind legs up just a pinch, but man, from there forward, there's an elite belted gilt that has shape and look, and yet still from the profile, she's comfortable. I like her a good deal in this particular class. If I'm changing her, like I said, a little too wide there whenever she leaves us, but not another one in here, any square that has what she has. Bone and feature sets in the gilt's favor. That's in second. Big-footed, really rugged at the ground and at the surface. You get up high and above her foundation, and she reads just too round in her hip. Same thing up and out of her shoulder and at the top of her spine, but a good gilt there to go ahead and be in 2. Black gilt fundamentals in terms of feet and legs and muscle, and yet still body and underlying quality will allow her to stay in the top trio. I think amongst the group of them that are left, just a little nicer built there behind. Got the rest of them there. We can kind of just jump them out together. I think there's some nice gilts in this class where you just start to talk about the function of them. These steel gilts that have some quality in their skeleton just need a little more ring presence and shape and stoutness, obviously, to be competitive, but still have some value in where they kind of want to represent themselves. Congratulations to them. Again, a nice class to work through.
Also, that Class 19 crossbred gilts, first place goes to Coy Thomas, second, Zoe Storm, third, Ray Weintraub, fourth place, Darnell Bennett, fifth, Audrey Bennett, sixth place goes to Hunter Hayden, seventh, Bailey Hayden, and eighth place, Hunter Halen. Congratulations to all those exhibitors. Something else that we do here in Putnam County, we do it good, we do it right, and our judge touched on it just a little bit. We're fortunate enough to have great barn superintendents, and he mentioned one of those, Brandon Miller, and also Lee Fordyce. They do a fine job. They work with these young kids. They know these young kids. That's the great part of it. And they know the parents, and they've got spouses and family members that sacrifice and give up a lot to be able to do this job. So put your hands together for Lee Fordyce, Brandon Miller, and all the family members. Also, as the judge touched on, could not do it without a lot of great guys working in front of the scenes, out here in the ring, also back in the barns and doing their good work. So put your hands together. They know who they are and they'll hear you. So put your hands together for those folks.
get to class 2 again, it's just about build and squareness of skeleton, and then the extras from there. The belted gilt that I start with, again, it's not going to hit you out there anywhere, but I think she's the combination of what we have in the feature that's in 3, the look and pattern of the gilt that's in 2, and the squarest build on both ends of her skeleton. I get right into her rib, and I don't maybe just call her the widest and soggiest in terms of her body, but I do think she's a gilt that simply with her build, her skull, her shape, that gilt can hopefully get it. And if she does, if she is just a pinch softer, I think she wins the class very easily. For me, she still does, just simply on feet and legs. The white gilt that's in second, for me, a gilt that offers a broader rib cage. She's wider underneath in terms of her chest floor, leaves you extra wide, just a little too wide. I don't know if she's bow-legged or if she just closes that hard at the ground whenever she turns and leaves you. There's so many of them white ones, whenever they get that neat look and that wide build up to the mid part of their body and back, some of them will tend to do that, and that gilt does. I'd like to stouten her legs up and just square her up to me at the ground to go ahead and call her an easy second place. That's where I think this gilt has advantages. She is big boned and big footed, very rugged in her design. For me, honestly, looks a little too old and mature about the shape to her head. You watch her walk on both ends, and I've got to open that gilt up, coming right at me and clean her joints up, leaving me just probably comes in a little smaller of a package than I like. That's where I like this gilt. Although she runs downhill, her length of spine and her correctness of hip and hind leg will allow her to stay in the top 4. Just doesn't balance quite as well and doesn't have those extras like the top 3 do, but a nice one there. Got a bold stouty coming out here in 5 that's just too round and plain. We've got the rest of them down the lineup there again. Just simple structure. The young man's will come out next. We got to recorrect the way that gilt will stand behind. Nice one in the front 2/3. Congratulations again to the whole group of them, and a very nice class winner.
And the results of that Class 20 crossbred gilts: first place, Grace Fry; second place, Taylor Hensley; third, Garrett Haven; fourth, Michaela Neese; fifth place, Zachary Kaufman; and sixth place, Hunter Hayden. Congratulations, exhibitors. Yes, you heard me make that statement. We do a lot of things right. We do a lot of things good here in Putnam County. I think everybody in the crowd will have to agree that the judge committee picked a great judge today. So put your hands together after I introduce him. We have with us today, coming to us from Highland, Illinois, Mr. Miles Tinyes. He went to Lakeland Junior College and then went on to Western Illinois University. He currently runs a cattle and hog operation at his family farm and also works for Show Right Feeds. Put your hands together for Miles Tinyes.
Again, probably starting with the gilt that most we don't see, what we talked about in terms of those extras that I like, but I do think whenever you just simply break them down from the bottom side of their skeleton down here into this bark or sawdust and then up and forward, that particular gilt is the best designed one. She's the squarest built one, and she is without question the most functional in terms of her feet and legs, and that's why she wins this particular class. I'd love to stouten her head. I'd love to give her a shot more bone, but it doesn't maybe just come with it today. But she is one that I think everything matches well, and she's definitely the soundest and the squarest one whenever you ask them to go. The belted gilt is nothing short of ornery. If she would drive, maybe the pair gets closer because she does have a little more substance to her. Big rib cage and lots of shape. Ties up a little tight in her hem loin hookup. A gilt that needs a move, just a pinch better there out of her hip. That's where I like the black, the belted gilt here that comes in third. Probably a little longer and a little thicker about the rear part of her skeleton. A gilt that for me, just too plain up through her head. Her bones don't match, and she too probably gets a little wide walking. Young ladies was the same way as the second place gilt, just ornery to drive. I think she looks like she's probably coming into heat if you study just the size of her vulva, but that's a good gilt from her hip forward, just got a little too tight. Got the clown colored gilt coming out next, and what a really wide, really stout, neat stout, big bone one there, and I guess probably whenever she's young and immature, probably looks better than, in my opinion, of what she does now. That's just way too much for a female. Got to square each end of her skeleton up. Then we come out with the blue-eyed gilt that gets too far down on her front feet. Nice rib gilt, a little coarser in her underline. Same thing about her joints whenever she turns or drives away from you. We'll close the class with a belted gilt. It's pretty decent built. That just needs quite a bit more to her to be competitive. Great class again. Compliment them with a good round of applause if you could. Good class to work through.
So your class 21 crossbred gilts, first place Morgan Goss, second place Haley Cox, third place Corbin White, fourth place goes to Kendall Brewer, fifth Callie Whaley, sixth Haley Stevenson, and seventh place Jana Glader. Congratulations to all you exhibitors. If I can have everybody's attention, we have an item that was misplaced out by the restroom area outside the show arena. If you have lost an item, please come to the announcer stand inside the arena, and if you can identify it, we'll return it.
Really good class, and probably the deepest class that we've had so far sits in the class 3 or 4 of the crossbreds of where we're at. The young ladies gilt that I start with of a pair of gilts that both have some length to them, both have an intriguing pattern to them. From the profile, I think she just wraps a bigger forearm. She comes at you bigger. She's bolder in terms of her front foot and where it sets down in the dust. Got a big stout hind leg, and then yet still such a equally clean kind of a back. I think her body matches her frame size right. Her condition's dead on for her frame size. If I'm nitpicking her, I think maybe a little nervous tendencies to want to whip and spur a little hard coming into the pen or into the show ring. I back down on her and just let the thing do what she wants to, because she looks more comfortable behind whenever you let that happen. Young mans, whenever they first come out and you get to the profile on them, boy, is she intriguing. I mean, up-headed, really elevated up through the point of her shoulder blade. Her length of spine, to me, is right. Love her rib cage. Beautiful underline in that gilt. She probably, at times looks like she'll take her hind leg a little further back behind her. I get right down to it and in behind, and I think she closes just a bit more towards the base of her skeleton. Doesn't have the feature nor the foot size or the stoutness of head of what your class winner does, but another very, very intriguing gilt. I thought that top pair was fun to sort, and to me, it's just whenever they come right at you in a stouter, more genuine gilt to win the class. The gilt that's in third is a little different in her kind. I think in most of the classes we've had so far, could be an easy class winner. Big ribbed and very good in terms of her structure. A gilt that for me just doesn't have that look and the presence of what the top two do. The gilt that's in fourth just been a hard one to drive for the young lady. Got a great big rib and a soft set to her hind leg and rear foot. Her ankle's good. A gilt that's just too puffy and too over-conditioned for what I like. And then we got to get a handle on her just to calm her down and set her together better up front. The white gilt is based wide, got huge legs and big feet, lots of shape in her. For me, it's her front feet that lead her undoing. I've got to reconstruct the way that she's built up front. The blue gilt comes out in a big, tall stature, up-headed gilt that's too wide walking behind. Same thing with the blue painted gilt that'll come next. Lots of power in her, too wide at her rear tooth. The gilt that'll close the class is just kind of gets swallowed up in a deep class, and where she has some quality to her design and some good shape whenever you ride up onto her. Not fat, a gilt that just for me doesn't have near enough to her to be competitive with the upper end. Awesome class. I think an intriguing top pair. Put your hands together for them if you could.
And the results of that Class 22 crossbred gilts: first place, Bryn Chewy; second place, Gavin Sinclair; third place, Gretchen Carr; fourth, Callie Buckman; fifth, William Boucher; sixth place, Kennedy Clark; seventh, Cole Beamish; and eighth place, Callie Pastori. Congratulations to all those exhibitors. Once again, I'm moving right on down the list of the things that we do right and the things that we do good here. Put your hands together. You folks in the crowd, the spectators and the supporters of these young people, put your hands together for a great group of people that come out and support our fairs, support our young people of the county, and are always there willing to help out when they can. Thank you for being here.
as we finalize our set of crossbred gilts, to me, the one that just looks right, in the oldest class, obviously, crossbred gilts not shown by age, and so we simply judge them on maturity, and we judge them on just freshness of composition. The solid black gilt, to me, is the one that just offered a stout head, but I still think she's youthful enough. She's great big in terms of her rib and clean in her body, great muscle shape up high, big legs, and she sits down comfortably. If we're changing her, it could be a little up front on her front pasture, clean the bottom side of her neck up, but I still think she's the one out here comparatively to her contemporaries that still reads like she has some go left in her tank, big legs, and moves nice. The gilt that's in second, some would say just because she's probably a little longer face that maybe she's a little younger than that gilt is, and maybe she is. I'm not here to call ages. She's just too fragile out front of her shoulder blade for me, all the way down there through her jawline. It correlates back to her frailer build of her forearm and hind leg. I still think, to me, she's the more genuine gilt comparatively to the one that's in third. She's fresher up high, she's better in her hem loin, and she's square in her knees whenever she comes to you. The belted gilt comes out and initially has the wow factor of an intriguing class winner, bold and wide and stout. Not another one in here any bigger legged behind than what she is. She looks like the most mature to me. She's a little short on one side of her underline, and then I've got to fix her top line. Her whole top line wrinkles and sways. Got to square her knees up coming right to you. Nice gilt there. The one that comes next, wide built, lots of shape, too wide walking, more mechanical moving behind than what I like. The blue gilt comes out with a pretty profile. Has got to be wider up underneath her body. Gilt that needs to be bolder whenever she comes at you. Same thing leaving you. Gilt that comes out next there, real shapely, nice looking gilt. It's too uncoordinated. The one that'll close the class is real robust in her rib. Whenever she turns and drives away from me, it has to be more correct on her rear too. Congratulations to them. Very, very confident in that particular lineup and the way that we place them. Got a nice black gilt to go ahead and start the class.
And the results of your Class 23 crossbred gilts. First place, Dalton Scott. Second, William Boucher. Third place, Danica Overshiner. Fourth, Jace Bonnet. Fifth, Briggs Porter. Sixth, Brookley Oliver. And seventh, Mackenzie McCullough. Congratulations.
Test. Good set of cross gilts. Give these kiddos a good round of applause. Well deserved. Deep classes, lots of quality. Gilt show's been fun and very, very good to sort through. Upper end of it's as good as you can get. I mean, and where you want to set your priorities may be different than what mine is. I like my gilts to be built right. I like them to have a good look. I don't like fatties. I want them to have some comfort to them. I want their body to fit their frame. I want gilts that look like they can continue to flesh and get big and broad. And I think that, to me, these set of gilts that are out here maybe aren't perfect, but they are the ones in those respected classes I thought could do that to the best degree. The one that just kind of comes out here and looks like she needs to win is wide, stout, good looking, moves good. When we back down off of her, just a gilt. My compliments to the whole group of her, one of them to win. Young ladies right here. Congratulations to her. Brings out the gilt that was second in that class. And we talked about her downfall of maybe being a little longer jawed and not having quite the front foot and forearm. Looks like at times she can move just a pinch easier than even your champion, but I still think we can maybe reconstruct her just a little at the surface, leaving you. She's the one with rib and presence out here. Incredible ring presence to her from the profile. Love her shape and her squareness up front. Just a neat looking one. I like the whole group of them. You know, we talk about them. This lightweight gilt is one I think is very intriguing because to me she looks like one that's right and ripe and ready whenever she needs to be in a division, and yet still looks like she can get big and get real good as she continues to put weight on here the next few weeks. A few of these other gilts maybe just need to move just a pinch better behind. We could freshen a few of them up. The one that looks the most like your champion and the hardest placing we had today was the young man's that was second. This will be my reserve. Congratulations to him.
And your champion crossbred gilt was exhibited by Bryn Shuey, with your reserve champion crossbred gilt exhibited by Gavin Sinclair. Congratulations. Also, I have one more thing on the item, or the list of items that I stated that we do right, we do good here in Putnam County. So you want to be sure to come back after lunch at 12 o'clock noon when we get the first class in the show arena. I'll tell you what that item is. See you soon.
For really quality animals out here, and obviously, you know, they come out and they're commercial oriented as you look at them, but I still think they're hogs that have value, and their skeleton's good. They look like they've grown well. They're youthful still, and I think there's a nice set of pigs out here for the young people to be presenting. Give these three a good round of applause. A very good job done by them with their crossbred litter.
And your first place and champion crossbred litter is exhibited by Hunter Hayden. Congratulations. We meet until 12 o'clock noon. 12 o'clock noon, we'll come back with the Barra show. 12 o'clock noon. Also, if you need to sign up for the livestock auction on Friday evening, a swine animal, someone will be in the swine barn office from now until 12 o'clock noon straight up. So you have exactly 1 hour to sign that animal up. That will be the last time that you will be available to do that. So please, if you'd like to sign an animal up and you failed to get that done yesterday, by all means go to the swine barn office and sign your animal up to sell in the livestock auction on Friday evening. Thank you. See you in an hour.